starting with session 2. I would like to introduce the speaker, Dr. Prashant Aragade. Sir is currently serving as HOD Department of Pharmacy, Government Polytechnic, Jalgaon. Sir's professional contributions are: Sir is a facilitator and educator for more than 13 years. Sir has been a resource person to more than 76 FDPs, conferences, and webinars. Sir is an eminent trainer to more than 5,000 faculties regarding online teaching through FDPs organized by Government Polytechnic Jalgaon. Sir's achievements are: Sir secured first rank in MPharm in Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore. Sir has 23 research papers in various national and international journals. Sir has attended more than 45 weeks of various training programs. Sir has acquired expertise in WordPress, PowerPoint, Moodle, video creations, ICT tools, NBM, MS Office, and Google Apps. Today, Sir is going to speak about effective implementation of flipped classroom model. I am honored to introduce and invite Dr. Prashant Argade. Welcome, sir.
Good morning. Sorry, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. So let me share the screen, then we will start the session.
Yes, sir. We have made you host.
Yes, correct. Okay, let me do some settings so that
Yes, sir. Sure.
no one will be able to.
थांब ना, मी मॅडमला सांगणार, मी आले तू 5 मिनिटात सगळं त्या बाईला सांगते. थांब.
Okay. I have done the settings. So very good afternoon, all dear and respected the faculty members. I'm very much thankful to the Dr. P.D. Chowdhury sir, the principal of Modern College of Pharmacy, and the coordinator of this program, Dr. Chopde sir, for inviting me and giving an opportunity to share the expertise from these pedagogical tools. So dear faculty member, today we are going to discuss about how to implement the flipped classroom model effectively. So I hope that you all are enjoying this STTP program, which was organized by the Modern College of Pharmacy. And my audio is clear, and I think so my screen is also visible to all of you. So you have to just put a message in chat box whether you are able to get the things properly or not, so that I will start my session very soon. So dear participants or dear faculty members, I want your response very quickly so that it feels me that you are listening me, you are following me, isn't it? You are attending the sessions with interest, etc., etc. Okay, thank you, Sonali madam. All fine is there. Okay, that's good. Because we have 120 participants and yet I got the responses only 13s. So just 10% response, isn't it? So it seems to be a very less response, because just first session has completed and now second session is going to start. Okay. Now I got the 16 responses. That's okay. So thank you very much for your response. So dear participants, at the end of these sessions, you will be able to explain the need of flipped classroom model, why there is need to use this model in our teaching learning process. Then you will be able to implement the flipped classroom model effectively. And lastly, you will be able to create out of class as well as in class activity for the flipped classroom model. So at the end of today's session, definitely you will be able to implement this flipped classroom model effectively if you follow all the tips and tricks which I am going to share during this session. So my dear colleagues, you know very well that since from last 1 year, our students are not available on campus for physical classes. In between some months, before 1 and 2 months, the government has issued order to start the physical classes as per the UGC guidelines. That is 50% attendance is required. So we have to provide the alternatives for the students. We have to give an opportunity to the students to join our institutes partly in a week, isn't it? So due to which there is a need to cope up with the newer technologies for implementing it into our teaching learning process. And you know very well that in our India, the new education policy 2020 has been going to be implemented in coming academic years. So main focus of this new education policy 2020 is that you have to conduct the online teaching learning classes, and teacher needs to be used the ICT tools in regular teaching learning process. So dear colleagues, there is a need to move our teaching learning process to online instructions, because once this NAP will be going to be implemented, definitely there will be a drastic change in our teaching and learning process. And we need to, as we are the teachers, we need to move our all the things to the online instructions. And you know very well that since from lockdown you are listening that the online teaching is required and how to do the online teachings, how to conduct the online lectures, isn't it? All you have now the very well cope up with all these technologies. But still, I feel that there is need to get revision of this mode of online teaching so that you will be able to explain the need of flipped classroom, why there is need of flipped classroom in our teaching learning process. So dear colleagues, there are two modes of online teaching. One is a synchronous mode of online teachings and another one is the asynchronous mode of online teaching. You know very well the synchronous mode. It is applicable to not only to the online teaching, but it is also applicable to our traditional classroom also. Isn't it? Why? Because the synchronous mode of teaching is regarded as face-to-face environment. That is, students and teacher are in same place at the same time in order to learning to take place. Isn't it? Just like today's my session, it is the example of synchronous mode of teaching. Isn't it? As we are joining at the same place on a Zoom platform at the same time. So similarly, you have already started to conduct your online lectures through this synchronous mode of teaching, as it is at fixed timing and fixed place. Means students needs to join your lectures as per the timetable given by your institutes. Isn't it? Question is that, is it a really focusing? Is it a really student-centric teaching learning approach? Definitely no. Why? As we are the teachers, we are planning our one lectures or online lectures, that we have to finish that particular concepts, that particular part of our syllabus from this 1 hour of online teaching lectures. So we are unable to focus each and every students. We are unable to have individual interactions with our students. So this is one of the disadvantage of this synchronous mode of teaching. Now, this synchronous mode of teaching, or you can say the traditional our classroom methods or lecture method, is available to watch only one time for our students. There is no facility to rewind the teachers. There is no facility to pause the teachers, isn't it? During this online session also. No doubt, the organizer will record these online lectures or online webinars or these online sessions and make it available for the students or make it available for the participants afterwards. But at the same time, if you are not getting the some parts from slide number 1 or from slide number 2, so there is no provision is available to pause your ongoing lecture and to go rewind and listen it again or watch it again and then get that particular concepts clearly. So this is the one of the disadvantage of synchronous mode of teaching. Now it is at instructor pace. Definitely it is at instructor pace. Today's my session is also on my pace, because I want to complete all the things. I want to complete all my slides within this 1 hour, isn't it? So I will try to complete all the things within prescribed time. So that's why that is the teacher centric learning approach. As you are going to finish off that particular things during this online lecture also, as you are already taking these online lectures since from last 1 year. So because of the time constraint, because of the time unavailability, we are able to take only few questions, or we will ask some few questions and the bright students or the smart students are given answers of that particular questions. And we may feel that all the students are getting that concepts very clearly. Isn't it? And is it really happening in our traditional classroom as well as synchronous mode of teachings? No doubt, this is an advantage of this synchronous mode of teaching, that immediate feedback is available. As you are the teachers, you are able to give the immediate feedback, immediate response to your students if they ask some questions, if they ask some queries to you during this synchronous mode of teaching. Definitely, it is an advantage of this synchronous mode of teaching. And as I told you earlier that it will target only a few students. We are not able to have one-to-one interactions of all the students. We are not able to target all the students during this online teaching. Even in our traditional classroom setup, also we are not able to target all the students. So this is all about the synchronous mode of teaching. On the other hand, the asynchronous mode of teaching, it means that the learning do not occur in a same place or at the same time. That is the asynchronous mode of teaching. The very good example of asynchronous mode of teaching, the MOOC course conducted by the various platforms. They all are asynchronous mode of teaching. That is, the courses are available on NPTEL platform or SWAYAM platform, isn't it? Recently, the NITTT, the module courses has been started by the AICT. All these courses are the example of asynchronous mode of courses, as the learning is do not occur at the same place at the same time. So teaching or the learning materials are posted online in the form of learning videos, reading materials, and any other materials. Then the learners will work through them in their own time. That is the asynchronous mode of teaching. So it gives the flexibility in timing as well as place. So it is the important advantage of asynchronous mode of teaching. It gives the flexibility. There is no material, gone through that particular uh, learning video as many as time up to they will not get that particular concepts. So it is one of the advantage of this asynchronous mode of teaching. Now, most importantly, it is at a student pace. It is at a student pace. If they want to pause, they can pause. If they want to rewind, they can rewind. If they want to rewatch, they can rewatch. Isn't it? So these are the some advantage of this asynchronous mode of teaching. No doubt. There are so many questions in the students' minds. They have to ask such a questions through the discussion forums, through the LMS, through the giving the answers immediately, but definitely they will give the response. So here, in case of asynchronous mode of teaching, the immediate feedback facility is not available. Whether this facility is available in case of synchronous mode of teaching, but in case of asynchronous, it is not available. So teacher is not able to give the immediate feedback because students will ask the questions at any time through the discussion forums. So that may be possibility that the teacher is not available to give the answers immediately, but definitely they will give the answers, but will be no immediate feedback. And if you have established a good feedback mechanism or good tracking facility, definitely the asynchronous mode of teaching will be able to target all the students. As you know very well, as you have attended the MOOC courses conducted by the SWAYAM platform, so you are getting the things that the course teachers will be able to target all the students. Until and unless you are not gone through the videos, you will not able to submit your answers, isn't it? So you have to first gone through the videos, then you have to answer the questions, then continue and solve the assignments and appear for the last examinations. That is the end examination. That is the examples of asynchronous mode of teaching. As I told you earlier that this asynchronous mode of teaching is available to rewatch, pause, isn't it? That facility is not available for the synchronous mode of teaching. So I got the comments from the YouTube, and one of the comments, it is now is on your screen now. I got one comments on YouTube that is, I think no other platform will be easy other than this to study the PC one, that is pharmaceutical chemistry one. Because in physical lecture, we can't pause it. The student says that. It is the reply from the students. We can't pause it and we can't request to repeat it again and again. But here, all options are available. Thank you very much. So if you providing the learning materials through the YouTube, isn't it? As a asynchronous mode of teaching, such a comments are getting from the students. Yesterday only, I got one other comments from one of the students from other state of India, that he says that, or I don't know whether he or she, 8-minute video is better than 50-minute class, sir. So this is the perspective, this is the thinking of the students, that 8-minute video is sufficient to get the things properly rather than to attend the 50-minute class or 60-minute class, isn't it? That's why the asynchronous mode of teaching is somewhat better as compared to synchronous mode of teaching, but both are having disadvantage. So by keeping the things in your mind, that is synchronous mode of teaching and asynchronous mode of teaching, or you can imagine that teacher A follow the synchronous mode of teaching and teacher B following the asynchronous mode of teaching. Now I want the answer from you in chat box. Which strategy is effective one? Which strategy is effective one? Yes, I want the answer from you peoples now. Okay, thank you, Mugdha madam. You are very fast to give the answers. Dr. Jagdish sir says synchronous. Asynchronous is effective, but we are used to synchronous. Yes, we are used to synchronous. I think both strategies effective in different circumstances. As a teacher, decide that what you want to achieve. That's very nice. Manish sir. Abhay sir says asynchronous, very good. Sonali ma'am says asynchronous. That's nice. That's really appreciable that you are giving the answers in the chat box. Asynchronous mode. Okay, Nishikant Shinde sir, asynchronous. Hemant sir says asynchronous. Depends on topic to topics. Very nice, Manish sir. So as we know that there are some advantage and disadvantage of synchronous and asynchronous. Due to time constraints, I have skipped that particular slides. We are not going into the deep discussion about the synchronous and asynchronous because we are major concern is about the flipped classroom. Yes, that's correct, Mahajan madam. So this is how you can able to interact with your students also through the having access of chat box at every time, isn't it? This is the one of the important tricks, isn't it? Or it is a very good policy. We can say very good practice to connect with your students during these online lectures. So still I have not get many responses. I think the participants are not following the things. Okay, let it be. So as per research or as per my practice, the blending learning is an effective one. No one is effective. Means synchronous is not effective, asynchronous is not effective. If you mix the advantage of synchronous mode with advantage of asynchronous mode, definitely it will be a effective strategy for implementation of effective teaching learning process. Means you need to combine, you need to blend the advantage of synchronous and asynchronous mode of teaching, such as asynchronous mode of teaching is regarded as out of class because asynchronous mode will be taken place out of class, will be taken place at the student place, at their own pace. That's why you have to mix the advantage of asynchronous with the advantage of synchronous mode. That is, students will watch the video lectures or reading materials at their home before attending the class or before attending the online session or online lectures. And then you will have the synchronous mode of teaching. That is, it is regarded as in-class activity, as the synchronous learning is nothing but the flipped classroom. That is the synchronous modes now, but here you have to change your teaching methods, that you are discussing the problem solving activities. You are assigning some problem solving activities in a class. You are not going to lecturing during the synchronous mode of teaching. And that the technology or that strategy is nothing but the flipped classroom. That things that we are going to combine what the advantage of synchronous and advantage of asynchronous mode of teaching. And if you are designing such a model, that model is regarded as the flipped classroom model. The flip word itself indicates its meaning as we are going to assign some works. We are going to learning materials with the students before they are going to attend our actual class. Isn't it? If you see this image very properly, I have zoomed it. Before to join the class as an out of class activity, you have to post the course material or learning material in the form of learning video It's maybe your own video, or it's maybe of video from any other sources such as Khan Academy, TAT Talks, and etc. You can curate some good quality of learning videos from YouTube also, which have released under the Creative Commons licenses. So that video may be useful. So before to attend the class, students will prepare in a flipped classroom where the students are introduced to the content at their home and practice working through it at a school or at a college. So in this blending learning approach, the face-to-face interaction is mixed with the independent study via technology. So face-to-face interaction means synchronous mode of teaching. It is mixed with the independent study, usually via technology, means asynchronous mode of teaching. That's why it is called as blended teaching learning approach. So you have seen the left side of image on your slide. I will zoom it. The traditional classroom, in a traditional classroom, the teacher's role is say on the stage. They've been delivering the lectures and assigning some homeworks, and students will do their homeworks at their home. But now, in case of flipped classroom, the teacher role gets changed. The role of teacher is now guide on the side. Whatever the activity, whatever the homework is there, the students will complete that activity, that homework in classroom, in presence of teacher. Teacher is available to assist them. Teacher is available to guide them instead of teach them. Here is no lecturing is going on. Here is teacher is available for guiding to the students how to complete that problem solving activity. If any queries are there, teacher will be able to solve that query immediately as a guide, not as a teacher now. So role of teacher get changed. That's why that technology is very effective one. And in traditional classroom setup, we are using the teacher-centric approach. But in case of flipped classroom techniques, we are going to implement the student-centric approach of teaching and learning process. So in flipped classroom, the direct instruction moves from group learning space to individual learning space. Traditional in teaching learning process. Why there is need to use up this flipped classroom technology? As you know very well, in traditional classroom setup, there are passive learning can happen. Or in a synchronous mode of teaching also, the passive learning is the majorly focus. How? The research says that there is only 5% learning can happen through the lecture. If the students are following the reading after the lectures, then they will get the things up to 10%. If teachers are using the audio visuals during the lectures, during the online sessions, or during the traditional classroom lectures, then students will get the things up to 20%. If the teachers will going to be demonstrate something by using some model, then students will get the things up to 30%. So here, students are just taking participation passively, not actively. And these are the learning percentage, isn't it? But if you study the active learning strategies, such as the group discussion, it will increased the learning up to 50%. If you are implementing the other technologies such as learning by doing activities, if you are going to conduct the learning by doing activities, definitely the learning can be increased up to the 75%. And dear faculty members, if you are going to implement some more active learning strategies such as applying, if you are providing an opportunity to the students to apply the knowledge or to teach the others, definitely the learning can be increased up to 90%. Learning can be increased up to 90%. So this is the active learning strategy. And if you want to improve the learning of your students, so you need to implement the active learning strategy, and this strategy can be implemented by using of this flipped classroom technology. So you can now redefine the flipped classroom technology. Flipped classroom technology is an active learning strategies, or you can say the active learning technology using blended teaching learning process. So this is nothing but the flipped classroom. And why there is need to use a flipped classroom? To implement the various active learning strategies effectively, there is a need of implementation of flipped classroom model in our regular teaching and learning process. Now question is that how to design the flipped classroom model. As you know, there are two parts of flipped classroom model. One part is consisting of out of class activity followed by the activity. As we saw in previous slides, the flipped classroom is nothing but the blended, nothing but the mixing of synchronous and asynchronous mode of teaching. So first you have to think, or first you have to design the out of class activity, then design the in class activity. So if you follow these methods, definitely you will be able to implement this flipped classroom model effectively. So let's see one by one. So out of class activity. Students needs to watch the pre-recorded video at home. So this slide is for the students. What they need to do as a out of class activity. So students needs to watch the pre-recorded video at their home at their own pace, isn't it? So they will review the online course material. Whatever the course material you have uploaded through the LMS, whatever the course material you have uploaded on your websites, isn't it? Or you have shared through the WhatsApp groups or any other means, they have to gone through that particular materials at their home. Okay. If they have some physical text, they will read it. If they don't have the physical text, then they will read the digital text by using of their own mobile phones or laptops. And then they will participate in an online discussion if you have created the discussion forum, isn't it? By using the LMS or by using other suitable platforms, definitely they will participate in that particular discussion forums. So teacher will be there to mentoring such a discussions. They will provide the immediate feedback. They will provide the feedback to the some of the questions asked by the students, depending on that the content which we covered through these recorded videos. And after that, they will perform the learn by doing activity. Whatever the activity you are assigning to them, they will complete that particular activities. So this is the role of students in out of class activity. So let's see the role of teacher in an out of class activity. First thing, you need to record the educational video and post that particular video with the students. Your educational video needs to be very interactive. You have to create video in such a way that there will be a good connections with your students through this video. After going through this video, the students think that that teacher is really connected with me. Teacher is really talking with me, like that. There are so many platforms are available now to make it interactive. isn't it? You can use ED puzzle also to make your video interactive. You can use h5up.org websites to make your video interactive by inserting the quiz, that is in video quiz, in video activities, so that students will perform that activity and then they will complete the next part of video. Definitely it will be help you to make your video interactive. One of the most important thing is keep your video very short and sweet. Research says that the video up to 10 minutes is suitable for the self-learning. If you can create the video having length more than 10 to 15 minutes, definitely it will not be helpful for the effective implementation of out of class activity. Since from the lockdown, we are attending the so many lectures, we are attending the so many trainings, we are attending the so many webinars, definitely it will be helpful for you to make your video interactive. On the YouTube video, isn't it? So how can we expect the same things from our students, that our learning video may be a 30 minutes or 35 minutes, how they are going to be complete that particular video? So if you want to learn something from your, if you want the students must learn something from your video, then your video should be a short and sweet. And each video should be followed by a quiz or some activities, because students needs to watch all the videos, isn't it? So tracking is required. For the tracking, you must assign some quizzes, some activities based on that particular video. And then you have to provide the complete learning materials, that is video, presentations, reference material, extra reading materials, some practice problems in a one convenient place, such as Moodle, such as Google Classroom, such as your website. You can provide all the materials of that particular content with the students. Definitely then students will be happy to have access of all the materials. And then think for the in-class activity. So in-class activity means what? You need to have 1 hour of class, either online or offline. Okay. During this 1 hour class, you have to interact with the students in a small groups. Don't call all the students at one time. As you know very well that if the physical classes will going to be started from the next month, definitely government will small groups and call them in a groups, isn't it? As in case of tutorial also. So definitely it will be helps to implement the teaching learning process once our physical started, it will be going to start, isn't it? So you have to interact with the students in a small groups. So there may be a possibility of one-to-one interactions with the teachers, as well as there will be a one-to-one interactions with students also. That is peer learning can happens, group discussion can happens. As number of students are less in with you peoples, definitely as a teacher you are going to interact with each and every students. So during in-class activity, you need not to repeat the things which you have covered as an out of class activity. So you have to just give the quick recap of out of class material. It will help to reinforcement of the learned concepts. And then you have to assign some problem solving activity. You have to assign something. You have to start the discussing something which will be depending on the out of class activity. Whatever the part you have covered as a out of class material, there is no need to cover all the things. Means you are wasting the timing. So student thinks that teacher will providing the video as well as they are going to repeat the same things. So they will not gone through the video. Either they will not gone through the video or they will not attending your class. So you have to think differently for the in-class activity. We are going to see how to conduct the in-class activity also. So there will be a discussion or question and answer sessions during the in-class activity. You have to keep some time for the question and answer also. So definitely it will help to make the your teaching and learning process very interactive as well as interesting for the students. Now, dear colleagues, you know very well the traditional classroom model is majorly focusing on the low order of thinking levels, that is remembering and understanding. As we know very well that the revised Bloom's taxonomy, and you know very well that what happens in traditional classroom model, that is we are going to introduce the new concepts. We are going to introduce the new concepts as an in-class activity. As a in-class activity. So students will try to follow the teachers and they will try to get the things at remembering and understanding levels, that is low order of thinking. And then you will providing the some homeworks. So individually the students are responsible to work on homework at their home at higher order of thinkings, that is HOTS. In traditional classroom setups, the students will work individually to work on analyzing, evaluating, and creating levels. As teacher is not available to solve their queries, teacher is not available to guide them at their home to complete the problem solving activity. But in flipped classroom, we have inverted the things. We have inverted the things means you have provided the material at their home. So individually, they are gone through the materials. They will try to mastering the concepts by watching that materials or reading that material again and again. So they will mastering the concepts at remembering and understanding levels, that is low order of thinkings. And you have bringing the homework in your class as an in-class of activity in case of flipped classroom, where the students and their teachers are work together, as now teacher is available as a guide, because the role of teacher get changed from seg on stage to guide, isn't it? So teacher is available as a guide to guide the students and their teachers at higher order of thinking. Definitely we are not getting the outcomes at higher order of thinkings, as we are talking about the outcome based educations. We are taking the NBA accreditations, we are going for the NAC accreditations. Everywhere they are asking about the outcome based education systems. What is the quality of your questioning? What is the quality of your question paper? How you are going to measure the outcomes? And definitely if you are using the flipped classroom model in your regular teaching and learning process, definitely you will be able to get the things at higher order of thinkings. You are be able to inculcate that particular level of thinkings in your students, that is analyzing, evaluating, and creating levels. So if you want to implement the Bloom's taxonomy effectively, definitely the flipped classroom will be going to help you for the same. So for that purpose, you need to design such a in-class activity so that the students will be able to analyze, students will be able to evaluate, and students will be able to create something new from your materials. So as far as Bloom's taxonomy is concerned, the flipped classroom is a very good technology to getting the things at HOTS, that is high order thinking levels. So what are the requirements to implement the flipped classroom? Definitely it will require too much of timing for the teachers. Too much of efforts are required for the teachers to designing both out of class activity as well as in class activity. No doubt the student self motivation is required. As you are going to post video materials to the students, really the students are watching that, really the students are attending the questions or not. So there is requirement of motivations. You need to award something to the students who are going to complete the particular things in a particular time. So definitely motivate the students, other students, those who are not completing the things, completing the task within the time. Then to a exercise, you need to think which pedagogical techniques is suits for your teaching and learning process, isn't it? So for the implementation of flipped classroom, there is requirement of technology, how to use that technology, because we are depending on the technology. We are sending the video, we are creating the video, we are posting the video, we are posting the reading materials, isn't it? Or course materials. So all the things require the technology. And as a teacher, you must know how to use that particular technology. So if you ready for investing your time, if you are ready to take more efforts, if you are ready to use the technology, definitely you will be able to implement this flipped classroom model very, very effectively. Okay. So now we are going to discuss how to create a out of class activity, that is creation of e-content. And for that purpose, you need to know what are the components of e-learning. As per the suggestion given by the retired professor from IIT Bombay, there are the 4 components of e-learning, but we are going to discuss only the 2 components. That is the learning dialogue and learning by doing activity. Learning dialogue is called as, or abbreviated by LED. That is the learning video. Your educational video is nothing but the learning dialogue. The learning can happen through your dialogue, isn't it? That's why that component is called as learning dialogue. And it is followed by the learning by doing activity, that is LBD. So let's see one by one. I will try to finish all the things within 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So LED is a learning dialogue. So as we discussed earlier that the long lecture videos is a very ineffective for the students learning. So you have to split it into a short segments. And then you have to create a sets of LEDs. Means suppose if one concept is going to be covered in 1 hour video, so you have to make a 6 sets. Okay, you have to split into the 6 parts and create one learning video for one part. So like that, you need to create a 6 video instead of creation of long lecture video. Okay, so you need to keep your video shorts near about 10 minutes. As this short video are suitable for self-learning. It is really suitable because the research says that after 10 to 12 minutes, the students are not able to keep their attentions on the same thing. Even in our traditional classroom setups, after 10 to 12 minutes, we need to change our teaching methodology, teaching techniques. As we want the students' attentions towards ourselves, then we need to change our teaching methodology also. As the short video is suitable for self-learning. Why? Because it will promote the concept acquisitions through repeated interactions of learners. If students are unable to get the things, they will rewind the video. They will rewatch the video as many as they want. Okay. So that's why it will helps to promote the concepts acquisitions. They will get the things betterly. They will get the things clearly through the repeated watching, through the repeated going through that particular video. And if you are making it is interactive, definitely they will get the things very clearly. That's why the learning dialogue, that is learning video, or you can say educational video, you should keep up to the 10 minutes. Don't go for the more than 10 minutes. If you have your own YouTube channels and if you publish some of the videos, then you need to check their analytics, isn't it? So average viewing time of your students, definitely it will really surprising time values is there, isn't it? We are creating 15 minutes, 20 minutes video, and average time is the 1 or 2 minutes, isn't it? So means the averagely students are watching video up to the 2 minutes only. So it's not good. So for that purpose, you need to keep your video short and smart. Okay, what are the components of video? The professor of IIT Bombay says that the video must contain some content followed by the reflection spot followed by the content. Content means what? There is a short videos which will depends on conceptual knowledge. It may include text, it may include graphics, it may include animations of the some of the concepts. If you are finishing one concepts and now you are going to start the new concepts, then you have to take a pause in your video and ask some activity for your students. So it will make learner to pause your video after 3 to 4 minutes, isn't it? Then you have to pose a questions. You have to give a brief activity to the students so that they will reflect on the preceding content. Whatever the content you have completed in this part, that content will be asked here so that they will answer that particular questions. If they fails to do, they will rewind your video, they will go on through that particular content, and then they will try to respond your reflection spots, isn't it? So they will, here you will providing an opportunity to the students to apply the knowledge immediately by asking some short activity. You are giving to provide an opportunity to the students to apply the knowledge whatever they are getting from this content. So content followed by reflection spot, and reflection spot followed by the next concept, that is content, where you have to give the summary with the expected answer of that particular activity. And then you need to start the next concept. Now, suppose your video is of 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, you are going to complete the two concepts. So after completion of your first concept, and now you are going to start your second concepts, you have to take a pause. You have to create a reflection spot activity by using some of the platforms, or by using your PowerPoint also you can make it, no doubt. And then you have to ask something depending on the content which you have covered in first part. Then give a possible answer and then start with your second concepts. So by following this approach, you are giving an opportunity to the students to apply their knowledge, as well as it will take a pause. So it will helps to grasp their attentions on your video, isn't it? How to do that? I will show you. This is an video. This is a video I have published in 2018. Okay. So during that time, no many platforms are available to insert the reflection spot activity. Here I have finished at 2.28 one concepts. So here I have written the reflection quiz, and I narrate the same things that dear students, you need to pause the video, think, and write the answer in your notebook. And I have asked the questions depending on the content which I have covered up to this 2 minutes. And then after a few seconds, I have explaining the answer of the same questions, and then the next part of video is get started. Likewise, you can also able to insert the reflection spot, or reflection quiz, or reflections activity into your video in a such a way that they will be able to give the response. After their response, you can continue your content. Likewise, you need to add the reflection spot. Now, h5up.org or edpuzzle will give you an opportunity to insert the reflection spot, or you can say in video quiz. You can browse the YouTube for how to insert the in video quiz by using h5up.org, or you can search for edpuzzle also. Edpuzzle also give an tools to you to insert the in video quiz. Means you have to ask video, sorry, you have to ask the question at a particular time of your video in edpuzzle. If the students will give the wrong answer, or if the students will give the right answer, then only they can able to continue with the video. In edpuzzle itself, they will not provide the skip the things. They will not provide the button to forward and backward. Means students needs to watch whole content of video. They will give the response to the reflection spot or reflection quiz or in video quiz. Then only they will able to have access of the next part of video. So definitely it will help, and the grade same can be recorded in that particular platform. So you can also integrate the edpuzzles or h5up.org into the Moodle, but today talk is not on Moodle. That's why I have not incorporated the things in this presentation. So I hope you are getting the LED. Already you know how to create the educational video. Here I will give 5 steps. First, you have to prepare the visual present, which will focus on the single concepts. That is, that concept should be covered within 10 minutes. Then you need to create the scripts for the content to be recorded. Then create an activity for the reflection spot. Then refine your script with your slides. Do a practice. If there is somewhat in coordinations with your script, with your slides, then try to refine it and then do the practice, and finally record the video by using suitable platform. Dear faculty member, writing of scripts for the educational video is a very, very important. Why? Because we are the teachers and we are not able to restrict ourselves to talk on that particular concepts. As we are the experts in that particular concepts, we are giving the too much of informations to our students. So it will increase the length of your video. So you have to write down the script first and then record the video. You have to stick up with your scripts only. Don't try to talk apart from your scripts, as it will increase the length of your video, so it will becomes ineffective. So to make an effective video, you first make a script, then try to do a practice with the scripts and with your slides. Try to find out the mismatch, if any. If there is no mismatch, then do a practice and finally record your video by using a suitable platform. Now, there is one question for you. Have you created any educational video? Yes or no? Have you created any educational video? Yes. Very good. Not yet. Okay. Okay, so many of you have created your own educational video. Someone says no. Okay. That's good that you are starting to have your own educational video for your students. That's really appreciable. Now, if you have created the educational video, which tool or which of the following tool is used for video creation? Yes, I want answer from you peoples now. Which of the following tool is used for the video creations? If you have created it earlier, which tool you have used? Very nice, Rohini madam. OBS. Okay, Screencast-O-Matic. Okay, Screencast-O-Matic. Many of you have used the Screencast-O-Matic. OBS is there, also Zoom is there. Okay, very nice. MS PowerPoint is also there. Very good. That's nice that you are now aware about the creation of video by using the different platform. The list is not ended here. There are so other platforms, so many other platforms are available, isn't it? But I have listed here the somewhat most popular platforms are available. That's good. Those who have not created video, start to create your own educational video. There are so many learning video is available on YouTube. How to create your own videos, isn't it? How to add your voice on your slides, isn't it? All are the available on the YouTube. You can explore the things. Now, your learning video should be followed by learning by doing activity. Means you have to provide some assignment, that is formative assignments to the students, so that they will be going through the your learning dialogue. You have to ensure that you have to design an activity in a such a way that it should be totally depends on the content of your learning video. Okay, so your each learning video should be followed by the learning by doing activity. It is a formative assessment activity. So immediately they will going to apply their knowledge which they have gained through the your learning video. So it will provide the learners opportunity to practice their learning, isn't it? It will help the learners towards the goal concept attainment. They will be provide an opportunity to immediate applications and integration of knowledge by designing such a learning by doing activity. By designing learning by doing activity. So here I have one questions. Now I will share the link with you peoples in chat box. You can go on through this link. Just click on that link. And give the answer of this question. What is the percentage of learning made by doing activity? Yes, I got one answer. Okay, that's good. I got two answers now. Those who are unable to give the answer through this technique, they can give the answer in chat box. That's nice. Now responses are started to record automatically. You can see on your screen now the percentage of each options are get changed as the participants are going to give the answers. Some of the participants has given answer in chat box also. That's good. Already we have discussed the same thing during active learning strategies. We have discussed on that particular slide. So how much percentage of learning can taken place through the learning by doing activity, and the correct answer is C, that is 75%. Correct answer is C, 75%. Learning can happen through this learning by doing activity. So this is how you can integrate the live polls also on your PowerPoint presentations. So learning by doing activities is activities with customized constructive feedback. Customized constructive feedback. So what are the components of LBD or learning by doing? It may be a multiple choice question. It may be a short answer type of question. It may be a drag and drop type methods, or it may be activities which requires the long answers or which requires to upload the file upload. Is totally depends on format of LBD. is totally depends on which online platform you are going to use to implement this flipped classroom, isn't it? Then you have to provide the customized constructive feedback. That is why an option is correct or why that particular option is incorrect. You have to give the feedback. Or you have to design the rubrics. That rubrics is suitable for self-assessment as well as the peer assessment. And it totally depends on which platform you are going to be used for implement this online teaching learning process. If you are using Moodle, you can do that. If you are using the even Google Classroom, you can able to give the feedback for the Google quiz also, isn't it? You can able to design or you can able to give the rubrics in Google Classroom also, isn't it? So for each and every LBD, you have to provide the correct options along with the feedback. And why that particular option is incorrect, you have to give the feedback. Definitely it will be help for the maximum learning for the students. This is Moodle platform page. Okay, I have first posted the presentations of one of the chapter. Presentation is followed by the recorded online lecture which I have taken. Okay, this is the long lecture, no doubt, but this is the online lecture which I have taken. Then I have provided the short video of that particular chapter, and it is followed by the MCQs. Okay, and everywhere you will be able to find the restrictions. As a restriction is what? Not available to user unless the activity sulfonamide is marked completed. Until and unless sulfonamide part is not completed by the students, they will not able to have access of next activity. Then they have to complete the next activity. Then at last they will be able to solve that particular LBD. So once they solve the LBD, the Moodle platform itself record their grades and it will give grades to me, send grades to me on Moodle platform. So I will track the progress of the students. How many students are going through that? How many students are not gone through that? So whole tracking is possible by using of Moodles, isn't it? So the Moodle platform, or you can say the Google Classroom, is much useful for the purpose of implementation of flipped classroom as an out of class activity. So this is all about the out of class activity. Now, how to design the in class activity? You know very well, in a flipped classroom model, the students are engaged with the lecture or other materials which you have posted as out of class material to prepare an active learning experience in classroom. Now, this is the very crucial part of your flipped classroom, that is in class activity. Whatever you have uploaded on Moodle platform or Google Classroom, it is regarded as out of class activity. It includes the presentation, it includes the online lectures, it includes recorded online lecture, it includes the recorded your own video, or you can curate some videos from YouTube. It includes the small activity such as MCQs, short type answer questions, etc. That are all come from the out of class activity. But all they are passive in nature. But the in-class activity is really an active learning experience. It includes the problem solving activity. It includes group discussions. It includes some of the brainstorming sessions. It includes TPS activity, that is think, pair, share activity. It includes PI, that is peer instruction. It includes any other cooperative learning strategies. There are so many cooperative learning strategies. Apart from this list, you can use other active learning strategies for implementing the in-class activity, whatever you want. But that activity must involve the active learning experience, isn't it? This list is not limited. You can choose anyone from the list, or you can have, or you can design your own in-class activity which involves the active learning strategies. So last year, I have used that in-class activity, a quiz competitions between the 4 groups. I have made the 4 groups of students. I have posted the heterocyclic chemistry videos on their WhatsApp groups and asked them to prepare after 1 week how to draw the different heterocyclic rings. As I am teaching to the diploma students, they need to know how to draw the structure of different heterocyclic rings. I have made the 4 groups. Already groups was declared 1 week before. So they are now start to thinking. I have given all the instructions to them how to participate in these quiz competitions by group wise. And during class, I have conducted that quiz competitions. Very simple. They have to draw the structure on board. Once one structure is over, no other groups can ask the same questions to other students, isn't it? So initially, everyone can ask the hard structure, name of hard structure, isn't it? So output of that activity is very nice, that those students who have a fear to write something on board, to stand in front of classroom, they have now to start to draw the structure on board. They have standing on stage, so stage daring can improve. They have work in team in 1 week, so they have started to work in a collaborations, isn't it? So that's why this in-class activity definitely helpful to boost up their confidence, to boost their team management, to work in a team, isn't it? So that is the one of the example. Here we will see the example of TPS, that is think, pair and share activity. T stands for think. First, they need to think individually. Then they need to work in a pairs, and then they need to work in a whole class. That is share phase. Think, pair and share. So TPS activity, it is a collaborative learning strategy where the students works together to solve the question or to solve the problem about an assigned materials. Whatever the materials you have assigned before, whatever the video lecture you have assigned them, depending on that, you have to design the TPS activity. Okay. So this strategy requires students to think individually about the question and share their ideas with other classmates. Okay. So how to use the think, pair, share? First, you need to explain this technique with the students. You need to describe what is the purpose behind to conduct such activity, how to do that activity, and you have to set the discussion guidelines and time limits, because there will be no distraction. So you have to set all the things clearly and you have to communicate properly with your students. Once you have done that, then plan for the think phase. That is step 1 is the think phase. Step 1 is the think phase. The instruction for this phase is students need to perform individually. In that phase, students should be take participation as an individual. Time required for this phase is 1 to 3 minutes. You can start by asking a specific questions about the content which you have posted earlier as an out of class activity. Remember, your in-class activity should be aligned with out of class activity. Whatever the content you have covered in an out of class activity, you have to design the in-class activity in line with that particular material. So you have to start the think phase by asking a specific questions depending on that particular content. Then individually, students will think about that particular questions. Okay. What they know and how learn about that particular topic, they will try to write down the answer of that questions in their notebook. So after the think phase, next phase is the pair phase, where you have to make a pair of each and every students. Instruction is what? Students needs to share their learning with their partners. Okay. They need to share their answer with their partners. Time required is 5 minutes. So they will discuss together and they will try to justify their answers. Okay. This question is same for all of us, all the students, isn't it? So they will discuss their answer together and they will try to justify their own answer. Why my answer is correct? Why my answer is wrong? Why your answer is wrong? They will try to evaluate the things. They will try to give the justifications. And at last, they will write down the whatever they have learned through this discussion, whatever the output of that particular discussion, they have to note down, as they are going to refine their answers of same questions which they have written in a think phase. So they are going to improving their answer in a pair phase now through the discussion, through the justification, isn't it? And last is a share phase, as they have to share their learning to the whole class now. Okay, they have to share their learning to whole class. So here the staged hearing will be improved. Here their communication skill get improved. Here their presentation skill also get improved. It requires 5 to 7 minutes. It will have a whole class discussion. Now students can share their own learning along with their partner's learning. What the partner says, how they are justify their own answers, how they are try to have a debate with their partners. All the things they are going to share with the whole class, and definitely it will help to gain something more knowledge about that particular concepts. So at think phase, they will work as individual. They will try to recall and apply the knowledge. So they will work on recall and understanding level of Bloom's taxonomy. In a pair phase, they will take part in a discussions. They will providing the answers. They are discussing. They are justifying. So they are learned by teaching and practicing again and again. So here they are work on analytical, reasoning, or application levels of Bloom's taxonomy. And at the share phase, they are trying to optimum their learning with the justifications. So they will work on evaluation skills. And for all the phase, think phase, pair phase, and share phase, you are present with them as an in-class activity. You are there to guide them. You are there to show their ways, to show their path. If they are making some mistakes, you have to just give the hint to them, isn't it? You are just providing the guidance to all the students if they're having some queries. So by using this think, pair, share technology, it will be really benefits not only to the students, but teachers also has a benefits, as it enhances the students' critical thinking skills. They improve their own critical thinking skills, improving their listening as well as reading comprehensions. As their partners are going to discussing something with them, that time they will act as active listeners, isn't it? So their listening power also get improved. They will start to work in a team. So they will start to work in a collaborations. And because of that, their team work in a team culture get improved. Their presentation skills also get improved, as they are going to observe the presentations made by their friends during the pair phase as well as during the share phase. And they will try to improve their own presentation skills as well as communication skills. So different soft skills are get improved by using this TPS activity, isn't it? As they are learned by doing it, isn't it? As they are going to do the things, as they are going to take part in discussions, so they are getting the more and more things during this in-class activity. Definitely, they will utilize in-class time for active learning methods. They will help each others to learn. In pair phase and in share phase, in both phase, they are helping each others. They will get the assistance from the teachers in solving real-time queries. Whatever the queries they are having, immediately they will ask to the teachers, and teachers will immediately give the answer of that particular things. So teacher is always available to assist them, to guide them. So because of that, their reasoning skills as well as application skills are get improved. So soft skills are get improved. They will learn to work in team. They will learn how to debate and they will learn how to evaluate by take part in this TPS activity. And definitely it will help or it will enhance their higher cognitive skills. As I told you earlier, during the Bloom's taxonomy, if you have the in-class activity, this in-class activity will work on high order of thinking levels, isn't it? That is, higher cognitive skills can be improved by implementing these in-class activities. So it also has benefits to the teacher, as the role of teacher is now changed as a guide. Teacher has to spend more time with the students to support them to solve their queries. Teacher will spend more time to build the analytical as well as the evaluating skills among the students. It will help to the students to building the reasoning ability, and teacher will be assist learning by doing activity. So by implementing out of class and in class activity, definitely you will be able to implement the flipped classroom model effectively. No doubt the time and efforts is required too much. To design a flipped classroom model for one topic requires too much of time. It requires too much of efforts. As you know very well, to record the 10-minute video, it requires the efforts of 3 days or 4 days. That's why I have always take this quote for motivating our faculties, that if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I had spent the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. Isn't it? The same thing is applicable to us. If you want to implement the flipped classroom model, if you want to design the out of class or in class of activity, definitely you require a more time. Initially, you required more time to design, to plan, to use the technology for implementation of this flipped classroom model. So here I will stop my presentation now. I'm very much thankful all the participants for their patient listening, as you have joined these sessions at 11 o'clock and now it's near to 2, so it's 3 hours completely. Due to time constraints, I have run somewhere in slides because I have to finish all the things within a limited time. So dear participants, if you have any query, you can ask in chat box. I will make a change in a setting so that you can able to unmute yourselves. Yes, I have made the changes in setting. You can unmute yourself, and if you have any queries, you can ask the questions. I know this time is not sufficient to complete this flipped classroom model, because the content of this flipped classroom is too much of vast, but I am trying to gather all the informations in these presentations. Somewhere I am in hurry to finish, so you might be not getting that particular things. So I'm happy to elaborate the things if you have the doubt, isn't it? So thank you very much, all of us.
Thank you, sir. So this session is open for discussion now. If you have any question, please type it into chat box. Sir, you explained so well that it seems there are no questions. Now we'll conclude this session with the summary. New normals in the academics are now to conduct online teaching learning practices along with the traditional teaching. So teachers must be well acquainted with new modes of online teaching learning and ICT tools. Sir, you explained the concept of flipped classroom with vivid examples. Sir also explained that if we mingle and optimize the advantages of synchronous and asynchronous mode of teaching learning, then it results into flipped classroom and the efficiency of teaching learning can be enhanced up to 90%. Sir also guided about how to blend out of class activities and in class activities to implement flipped classroom. It was a really very informative and in-depth explanation of flipped classroom. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request sir to accept virtual bouquet as a token of love and gratitude on behalf of Modern College of Pharmacy. Thank you very much, sir. I also request sir to accept virtual certificate. Thank you, sir. In summary, the speaker of session 1, Dr. K.S. Sheikh, talked about research skill development with emphasis on writing review articles, whereas Dr. Prashant Argade explained us how to put the concept of flipped classroom into practice. Session 1 and 2 are concluded here. The next session will start at 3 p.m. My colleague Ms. Shubhada Jagdale will start the session. With this, I, Angira Purohit, take your leave. Thank you so much. Namaskar.